Hey guys, in the last video we have built some blueprints for New York City elevated subway stations. Today I show you how to connect the stations and set up a realistic local and express service without any glitches. So let's start with building the track layout. As the last or first station of the line, we use a 3-track express service station that has platforms for all tracks. You can also use a normal 2-track station at the end, of course. Then we have to place one of the 3-track bypass stations in between. For demonstration purposes of the system, I placed them in the following order: express, local, local, express, local, local, express. Now we have to connect the stations with the correct tracks. On the outside we use single one-directional tracks in opposite directions respectively. In the middle we use the single track from Metro Overhaul mod for both directions at the same time. With that configuration we connect all stations with each other. But here at the last/first station we also have to build a switch from one side to the other, so we can complete the metro route for the first metro line solution. For that we upgrade the last piece of tracks with bidirectional tracks. The stations are bidirectional anyway. With node controller we can customize the nodes and segments a bit so it looks nicer and the switch is a lot smoother. Now we can also add some pillars in realistic distances or other fancy stuff like arch bridges and girder plates, but that's the topic of another video. Network Multitool can also help to build the track layout, but that's a prime example on. I have completely forgotten how that stuff works and have to watch a tutorial again. The same switch configuration we also have to build here, so we have theoretically a simple two-way metro line, but with an express track in the middle. To make the whole system work, because we use the Metro Overhaul mod, we also have to connect the tracks to the Metropolitan Metro depot. I will also build a turning loop around the depot, because that one is required for the second line setup. We also need the same loop on the other side when we want to use the second solution, but for the first one, we don't need one, you decide. In a second I tell you what's up with that. So I figured out two ways how to manage the lines with that 3-track subway system. They have both pros and cons, and I think it also depends on the line length and the capacity needed. I haven't tested this layout in a fully built out city, but I hope to try to do that in my upcoming CS1 series. So let's have a look at the line management. This is the simplest type of solution. The local service functions as a normal metro line. You start at the first station and connect all stops with each other. On the way back we use the switches we built before to switch to the other side and connect all stops backwards until we reach the starting point again. You need no loop for that, but can obviously use it, and the local service can provide a really high frequency. So the local service with solution number 1 works the best, but has its flaws when it comes to the express service. The express service is also quite simple. Because we have the two-way track in the middle, we can just connect every stop and backward again. Important here is to set the train frequency to one train only. Otherwise we have glitched trains that bump into one another. That's a really big downside in frequency, but can work for short lines. For longer lines, this solution is not ideal. It has a higher local frequency, but express trains come quite rare. In return in both directions though, so you don't have to necessarily think about the direction your citizens want to commute to.
Well, miss, I guess I'll be on my way now.
Here the local line is also relatively simple, but we use both loops at the end this time. Now you have to decide in which direction you want to have express service. It makes sense to have it towards downtown or another area of high interest. This time we don't have express service in both directions, but with a higher frequency in the peak direction. Start the express line and connect all express stops to one another. Now we use the loop and bring the line back on the local track in the opposite direction. With this solution we have theoretically in both directions the same service frequency, but one is just local and the other express. In the other direction though, we have really high frequency but only one track for the trains to use and only local service obviously. So it can cause some issues where trains have to wait for others, but when you use subway trains with higher capacity, you can set the vehicle count a bit lower, so there aren't any issues in that regard. I hope this explanation made any sense. One downside is that we need a loop for that on each end to function. Or do you have any other ideas on how to set this 3-track system up? Everything would be of course much easier with 4 tracks. Then we can fully separate both local and express service. Another but slightly more unrealistic idea is to create a loop for the express track. For that we would have to create a tunnel that goes from one end of the line to the other, so we can, create a circular line. What do you think about the system I presented to you? Will you implement it in your city? I will upload the save files and Modlist to my Patreon so you can copy and paste them with PO and move it into your map. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.